In Revenge of the Sith aboard the Invisible Hand, Anakin stood triumphant over Count Dooku, his rival, twin lightsabers poised across his throat. In a moment, Anakin would commit an act that would alter his destiny forever. But there was a long moment there during Anakin's initial hesitation, a moment where he had not yet given to the allure of the dark side. While his revenge was nigh, he was still somewhat wanting to believe in the Jedi path. During this time, Dooku could have changed the course of history by revealing the truth. He had alluded this to Obi-Wan on Geonosis, that a Sith Lord had in fact infiltrated the Galactic Senate and was controlling them from the inside. At any point during the Clone Wars, Dooku could have told Anakin the same thing. But yet, even when Palpatine had betrayed Dooku, the Count could have gotten him back right then and there by again spilling everything and revealing the plan of the Sith to the Chosen One. But he didn't. So why is this? It is a question that many have asked in the past, and here, today, we are going to hopefully answer it. First though, we are still looking for a brand new editor on the YouTube channel, so if you have experience with video editing and are as big a fan of Star Wars as I am, please reach out. Again, this is a paid position. The best way to reach me is using the email in the description down below. Anyway, my friends, let us begin with the lore. Before we answer exactly why Dooku did not reveal the plan of the Sith to Anakin in his dying moments, it's important to note one thing that will be the defining factor to answering this question. Count Dooku essentially became Sidious's right-hand man during the entirety of the Clone War. For 3 years, Dooku was one of the only Separatist leaders and Sith underlings that actually knew of Sidious's double life as the Supreme Chancellor of the Republic. Darth Sidious was more open with Dooku about all of his plans than anyone else in the galaxy, except the whole thing was a deception. You see, Sidious was honest with Dooku if only to just play him for a fool by lulling him into a false sense of security, and in feeling like he was a fellow conspirator alongside the Dark Lord. Sidious allowed Dooku to think of himself as one of the coming rulers of this new empire that was on the rise. Sidious also fed Dooku's ideas by promising to make him the commander over an Imperial army. Dooku knew almost everything. As he saw in Attack of the Clones, he was privy not only to Sidious's true identity, but also the Death Star plans. In short, Count Dooku made the fatal mistake of trusting Sidious and believing that he had Sidious's trust in return. He did, in a way though. Sidious trusted Dooku to act just as he did through the war, and whilst grooming Anakin for the true position of his apprentice. Darth Sidious's manipulation of Dooku ran deep. So deep in fact that he let Dooku in on other plans, such as the plan to turn Skywalker to the dark side, though Dooku didn't know that Anakin would ultimately be his replacement, believing that Anakin was to simply be an addition. Right before the duel on the Invisible Hand, just minutes before Anakin and Obi-Wan burst onto the command bridge to rescue the Chancellor, Palpatine and Dooku are having a conversation, and Dooku is reveling in the moment that is about to happen. He congratulated Sidious on all of his machinations finally coming to fruition. The plan was to kill Obi-Wan and officially get him out of the way so that Dooku could then focus on simply goading Anakin into embracing the dark side in order to defeat him. Sidious strictly instructed Tyrannus to take it easy on Anakin so Palpatine could observe the young Jedi's fury firsthand. He didn't want Anakin to be dispatched so easily, of course. The two went over the plan over and over again, which initially was Dooku would duel the two Jedi and kill Obi-Wan in order to goad Anakin into using the dark side. After Sidious had seen enough, and Dooku was to surrender to Anakin and allow himself to be taken into custody, setting in motion the plans for the future. However, as you know, these events did not play out as Dooku was promised. The duel took place and was all going well until Dooku failed to actually kill Obi-Wan in a definitive manner. He had lifted Kenobi into the air by the throat and could have easily stabbed him right through then and there. But instead, Dooku decided not to. Instead, he opted to fling the Jedi Master into the railing and simply incapacitate him. A quick side note here. You can see that Palpatine is not happy with this turn of events as we immediately see a rather pained look on his face. We see this quite clearly when he glances over at Obi-Wan's unconscious body and then back at Dooku. In this moment, Sidious is not playing the persona of the Chancellor, as none of the people present are looking or even thinking to sense Sidious. This painted expression, in my opinion, was his confusion and disappointment that Dooku did not kill Kenobi. Their entire plan hinged on Obi-Wan dying so that Anakin would have no more ties to the light. And now, Dooku was risking the success of that plan all to preserve Obi-Wan. if not subtly. Their entire plan hinged on Obi-Wan dying so that Anakin would have no more ties to the light. I have a personal theory as to why Dooku didn't kill Obi-Wan here. We already know that Dooku was against killing any Jedi during the entirety of the Clone Wars, as Dooku didn't want to simply slay his brothers and sisters. Dooku believed that the Jedi had already sacrificed enough of their ranks for political reasons, and didn't want to contribute the Jedi casualties directly during the war. We also know that Dooku and Obi-Wan may have a soft spot for one another despite being on opposite ends. The two shared a moment in Attack of the Clones where Dooku was prepared to betray his master in order to get Obi-Wan to join him. Even in their final duel, Dooku only did enough to injure the two Jedi but not kill them. I think that when it came down to it, there was a part of Dooku that simply couldn't do it. Even moments earlier, he had advocated for Obi-Wan to be turned to the dark side and not Anakin. Despite all the darkness, he couldn't bring himself to coldly murder Obi-Wan, the very last remnant of Qui-Gon Jinn, and in a sense, his very grandson. Instead, he bet it all by just knocking him out of the conflict and using Dun Mok to lure Anakin to the dark side. This compromise might be what cost him his life in the end, or at least what cost him his life much sooner. Anyway, back to the duel itself. Anakin successfully unleashed his darkness and takes from Dooku twice what he took from him, and then had him at blade point. So this is where all the information we have gathered comes full circle. Dooku's silence was a threefold. First, he was shocked at Anakin's sheer power in the dark side, and the fact that he wasn't even slightly prepared for it, and it cost him both of his hands. The things that he spent his entire life honing to perfection with his skill in the lightsaber. Secondly, he was far too stunned to speak that the Chancellor could tell Anakin to kill him. Obviously, this is the moment where he should spill all the secrets. But lastly, and most importantly, Dooku still thought that this was all going according to plan. He wasn't told how he was going to be captured, just that he was going to be captured. He thought that anything would happen that would prevent his death in this moment, so he stayed silent and loyal until his very last. However, you can see it in his eyes the moment before his death where he senses the shift in the Force. The shift within Anakin. This very shift let him know that his death was imminent. However, before he could get a word out, his head was already on the floor. So here's the thing. Do I think that Palpatine was going to let Dooku live if he had gone through and killed Obi-Wan? Well, I'm not sure. However, I do believe that he would have dispatched Dooku eventually. I think that Dooku's death was planned from the start, and Palpatine wanted Anakin to be pushed over the edge so that he could give in and kill an unarmed prisoner. Despite this though, I can't help but feel that Dooku's failure to kill Obi-Wan was an inconvenience to Sidious at best, and a massive game changer at worst. And of course, it could turn out to be the latter on Mustafar, with Obi-Wan not being taken out, and Obi-Wan given the opportunity to triumph over Anakin, robbing Sidious of his true prize. Well friends, what do you think of this? Was this the explanation that you were looking for here in our archives? One more interesting fact I want to put in here is that both in the original script for Revenge of the Sith, as well as in the novelization, Dooku grovels to Sidious and begs for his life. However, during filming, Sir Christopher Lee told Lucas that he didn't think it was becoming of the character to beg for his life, and as it sort of went against what Count Dooku was all about. Anyway, my friends, if you like this video and want to see more content like this, be sure to comment down below and let us know a topic that you would like to see us explore. Again, be sure to reach out using the email in the description down below if you're interested in the editing position. Anyway, my friends, thank you so much for watching. May the Force be with you, and I will hopefully see you in a later video.